For decades, Sean Diddy Combs built an empire on music, style, and power. But now, on day 12 of a federal trial that's shaken the industry, the facade is crumbling, and what's being revealed inside that courtroom has stunned even his most loyal supporters. Allegations, lawsuits, hidden testimonies, and now a former assistant has stepped forward with claims so dark they've left the courtroom in silence. For years, she stayed quiet. She was Sean Diddy Combs' personal assistant, known only by the pseudonym Mia to protect her identity. To the outside world, she had a coveted role, working alongside one of the most powerful names in music, but inside that world, Mia says she was trapped, stripped of privacy, independence, and eventually, safety. She wasn't allowed to lock her door. She wasn't allowed to leave the house without permission. According to Mia, Combs monitored her closely, even ordering his security staff to track her down when she once slipped out while he slept. "This is my house. No one locks my doors," he reportedly told her. That wasn't just a rule, it was a warning. At first, she thought the extremes were just part of working with a demanding celebrity, but then things escalated. Fast. What began as controlling behavior shifted into something darker. She described moments of being sleep-deprived for days, on edge, her body and mind breaking down under the pressure. "My hearing went. It felt like I was underwater," she told the court, and that was only the beginning. She was supposed to be an assistant. But what Mia described sounds more like a prisoner. In tearful, halting testimony, she told the court how Sean Combs, her boss, her idol, the man who once gave her pep talks, allegedly used that power to control, manipulate, and violate her trust. According to Mia, what happened behind closed doors went far beyond toxic behavior. It was physical, it was invasive, and it was constant. She described one night at Combs' Los Angeles home, around 2009 or 2010, when she woke up to him in her room. "I just froze, I didn't react," she said. What happened next, she added, was over quickly, but to her, it felt like forever. This wasn't an isolated moment. Mia detailed years of inappropriate behavior, unwanted touching, and coercive acts that left her mentally and emotionally scarred. She recalled a time in a New York penthouse suite where a seemingly casual conversation over vodka shots turned dark. He pressed her against the wall, initiated physical contact, and crossed personal boundaries. She didn't scream. She didn't fight. But she didn't consent either, and she said Combs never asked. Speaking out wasn't just hard, it felt impossible. According to Mia, filing a complaint against Sean Combs wasn't even a real option. Way before about Me Too, way before mental health awareness, she said. Back then, he wasn't just a celebrity, he was untouchable. A global icon with wealth, influence, and a network of loyalists trained to protect him at all costs. And within that empire, silence wasn't just encouraged, it was enforced. She claimed Combs' so-called HR department existed only to punish employees he didn't like. So, she kept quiet. She buried the trauma. She told herself it was part of the job. And above all, she feared breaking her confidentiality agreement, a fear he allegedly used to his advantage. It wasn't just about the behavior, it was about control. Mia said Combs made it clear he wanted leverage over her. After he took her phone and slammed a bathroom door on her arm, twice, he told her he wanted to have something on her because, as he put it, "You have things on me." To survive, she played along. She rationalized his actions. But deep down, she knew something was deeply wrong. And what happened next would only confirm her worst fears. Mia didn't just witness her own trauma, she says she watched it happen to others. And no one, she claimed, suffered more under Sean Combs' control than Cassie Ventura. Cassie, Combs' longtime on-and-off partner, had already taken the stand in the first week of the trial. But now, Mia's testimony painted an even darker picture, one where mistreatment wasn't hidden. It was a routine. Mia described the infamous hotel nights Combs would arrange, nights that allegedly involved male companions, substances, and unsettling behavior. She called them freak-offs. When they were over, the couple would disappear for days. "Man down," they called it. The rooms, covered in candle wax, soaked towels, shattered glass, and, according to Mia, sometimes even blood. Combs reportedly explained it away as period blood. One night, when Mia delivered something to the room, Cassie opened the door in a blue wig. She looked pale, uneasy. Different than I had seen her before, Mia recalled. Another time, Cassie confided in her, saying, "Puff wants to have a hotel night," and was so distressed that she became physically ill. Cassie wasn't just a girlfriend. She was, in Mia's eyes, another trapped soul, caught in the same nightmare. But what happened the day Cassie started seeing Kid Cudi would escalate things to a whole new level. December 22nd, 2011. A day Mia says she'll never forget, not because of what she saw, but because of what she felt. That morning, she was packing for a trip at Combs' Los Angeles home when something in the air changed. Cassie had just started dating Kid Cudi, and when Combs found out, everything turned. The energy felt really bad, Mia testified. Not the usual tension. This was something darker. According to her, Combs allegedly broke into Cudi's home. The details remain unclear, but what followed, Mia says, was a violent outburst aimed directly at Cassie. From across the driveway, she caught a glimpse of Cassie in a black SUV, visibly shaken. Later, she learned more about what had happened behind closed doors. It wasn't the first time she'd seen Cassie on the receiving end of Combs' fury. She recalled one chilling moment when Cassie was packing for an overseas trip. Combs barged in, he yelled, he shoved, and then, in front of Mia and stylist Deontay Nash, he allegedly slammed Cassie's head into a bed frame, causing her to bleed. "I thought he was going to kill her," Mia testified. Then, suddenly, Combs flipped the switch, going from aggressor to concerned protector. Mia said that moment changed everything. "It was the first time I realized the danger all of us were in." And the volatility didn't stop with Cassie. Mia said Combs' mood could flip without warning. One moment he'd be joking, the next throwing whatever was in arm's reach, a phone, a computer, a bowl of spaghetti. Once, she simply tried to leave the room to change a tampon. He erupted, hurling the bowl at her and screaming for her to leave the house. She didn't know what she'd done wrong. But she knew better than to push back. No one around them ever did. Then came the Revolt TV bathroom incident in 2013. Combs took her phone and ran into the men's restroom. When she followed, he allegedly slammed the door on her arm, twice. At first, she thought it might have been an accident, but then it happened again. Later, he told her directly he wanted to have something on her. These weren't just outbursts. Mia said they were reminders of who had the power and what would happen if she ever thought of using her voice. She began to break down. Once, after going 5 days without sleep, her hearing faded. Her vision blurred. She sobbed uncontrollably. Only then, she said, did Combs allow her to rest. But Mia wasn't the only one suffering in silence. She wasn't alone. And the more the trial unfolded, the more obvious that became. 2 of Cassie's close friends took the stand, and their accounts mirrored Mia's. They described a relationship with Sean Combs marked by control, volatility, and fear. They backed up Cassie's claims. And they reinforced everything Mia had said. Even stylist Deontay Nash, who didn't want to testify, ended up confirming disturbing details. From hotel night setups to Cassie's visible distress, Nash confirmed what many suspected. This wasn't a one-time incident. This was a pattern. Then came Dr. Dawn Hughes, a forensic psychologist. She didn't mention anyone by name, but she didn't need to. She outlined the behaviors common among survivors: self-blame, silence, and emotional shutdown. Prosecutors let the jury make the connections. At this point, it was no longer one woman's story against a superstar's image. The testimonies were piling up, and the cracks in Combs' empire were getting harder to ignore. But the story doesn't end in the courtroom. Behind the flashing lights and chart-topping hits, a different legacy was taking shape, one that had nothing to do with music. As day 12 of Sean Combs' trial came to a close, the testimony from Mia, Cassie, and others painted a devastating portrait of a man whose power allegedly shielded him from consequence for years. Their stories weren't just emotional. They were consistent, detailed, and too aligned to be dismissed. We've seen the headlines, we've heard the rumors. But now, with each day in court, the illusion is fading. What's left behind is pain, silence, and a story that, if true, was buried beneath fame for far too long. And maybe the biggest question isn't what happened. It's how many others still haven't spoken, because if these testimonies are just the beginning, what else is still hidden?